there's only a couple days left. What do you feel like you've gotten out of spring as an offense, and what do you want to focus on these last few days?
I think it's been great, certainly immersing the new guys in with the veterans. And again, it always comes back to those guys playing with one another. You're certainly trying different rotations, playing as many guys as possible right now to get them that experience. But I think it's been good, again, of those newcomers getting in there with the veteran guys and putting it together.
Is there any second spring for you, any big difference? I mean, you're kind of fully through this from last year, maybe being ahead or whatnot.
I think so. I think it's been critical. Although college football, there's not a ton of continuity, there has been with our staff, so I think that's been critical of just everybody being on the same page, already having the answers ahead of time. So that's been a huge plus. I think we've been able to grow off of certainly last year, but it is that mixture. It's that feeling of the staff continuity, but bringing so many new players to it. So you got to make sure you're right where you need to be on not moving too far ahead.
Hang on just a second, Coach. Microphone up here.
Which obviously you had a ton of film on Zach when he came here. That experience was the big selling point. But how have those skills translated into what you all want to do this spring?
Zach's doing a good job. I think it's always so critical. Again, every practice is so important for him. This is a guy that has played a lot of football, but it's still a new system, and again, in a year one setting. So I always like to see quarterbacks that are continuing to improve, and I think he has done a really nice job of that. Consistency with him is going to be critical, and getting himself back into the mode of SEC play as well. So pleased with where he's at, how hard he's working, and we're excited about the rest of this week for him to finish strong.
What's the best version of Zach look like?
Big, strong, physical. I think he's one of those guys that he surprises you with his athleticism. Naturally, he's got a big arm. For him, it's going to be the accuracy and taking a little bit off of it at times to throw a catchable ball. So he's a big, strong, physical kid. He likes making big plays. As we know, it's always going to come down to decision making and accuracy, and that's what we're striving for him to do.
Mark said last week that running back's going to be a committee approach, but Jason was getting most of the first team reps the day we were out there. Just how do you see him progress over the course of the winter and the spring?
Jason's done a good job. He's benefited from, since he's been here, being able to stack a lot of good reps. And so he's a guy that doesn't say much. Again, takes one day at a time, and it's been that constant state of improvement for him. The whole group has done a nice job. We've got 3-4 guys that we've been repping, getting carries. Again, sometimes it can be hard to get in a rhythm when that is the case, but we just got to keep working towards creating those plays.
Coach Kendrick Law was a guy that had a really strong practice when we were out there last week. What's kind of stood out about him? I know he was a really good run blocker at Alabama, didn't probably get as many pass receptions as he would have wanted.
He's been strong, physical, what we've seen on film. I think a good decision by him to be here because he's getting those opportunities to not just be featured in those ways, if you will, those ball in hand type reps. He's out there doing a nice job, running routes over and over again. And I think if he can continue to develop and become a complete wide receiver, he'll be a good player for us.
Coach, as you depart for the spring, which is going to kind of be your message to the offense? What do y'all want to build on and then bring into fall camp and time arrives?
The critical thing, I think, for us and really a lot of coaches is the amount of time you get with them from about April, third week in April on, building into the summer, is just that time spent and the value you're getting out of it, right? So for us, good, honest assessments of personnel, and then looking at our scheme, what are going to be those schemes that are going to be core one type schemes for us that we're going to rely on when the season starts, and making sure we're banking as many quality reps of that leading up to fall camp.
Coach, when Zach was with us and also when Shiaz was with us over the past couple weeks, both were asked about what the goals were for the spring and off season, and they declined to answer. Not to their discredit at all, not to bash them, but Why are they like that? Are they just so laser focused that they don't want anyone to know what they're working on?
I think they're big personalities, so I think sometimes they'll say some things, when I'm with them, and I'll just kind of laugh a little bit. But I do think those are two veterans, you know what I mean? Those are guys that have played a lot of ball. Shiaz maybe not as much, but as you've met him, he's as mature a 23, 24-year-old as there is. And so I think right now they understand the importance of where they're at. I also think anytime you're in a new situation, it's one day at a time. They're still learning nuances of the offense, but I think that's the approach we want them to have, one day at a time, and we'll figure out the goals when they come.
How do you feel about the offensive line development to this point, and where would you like to see them keep pushing and improving as we get closer to the summer?
Yeah, I think there's improvement for sure. The additions we've made and who we brought in the portal, from an attitude standpoint, from a professionalism standpoint, that's there. I think like anything, when you take a couple players that aren't or were not in this league in previous years, the development in the weight room, the strength and conditioning, that's going to be critical for them, as critical as any football session we may have. So I think they're doing a good job. It's a good professional group that cares about their craft. The development in the weight room over the course of the next 2 to 3 months will be critical for them.
How have you seen Cutter just approach this spring after you all added Zach? You obviously needed a veteran, but what he got out of that down the stretch, and then now he's kind of taking those next steps.
I think he's taken steps, and I think everybody, sometimes you have a guy like that, the pressure on him for right now. I just think Cutter's a guy that needs as many reps as he can take at this level, and so for us, it's invaluable to get him those reps, and he's another guy like Zach that's getting better. Consistency is critical, right? That's what it is at this level. It's always going to come down to who can take care of the football, and sometimes not the throws you do make, but the throws you don't make. And so it's been great for us this spring to get him as much work as he can get, and we think he's in a good spot.